What's up, dreamers? Welcome to another episode of Helpful Dreams, and today's topic is implementing positive change in our lives. We're going to dive into it right now.
I'm telling you, you can start this process of life change immediately. After today, you don't ever have to be the same again. Only by choice. You don't have to walk out of here the same as you walked in today. Only by choice. You can start a whole new process. And you say, well, Mr. Rohn, is it that simple? Yes, it's that simple. Where else would you start but with an apple? You don't have to start with something staggering. What if you should be walking around the block for your good health and you don't? What'll that do in 6 years? I'm telling you, the word is disaster. You could and you should and you don't. Here's an even stronger word. You won't. I mean, don't might mean you're careless. Won't probably means you're stubborn. And either one's called disaster. Could, should, don't. I'm telling you, that's why at the end of 6 years, I found myself with pennies in my pocket, nothing in the bank, creditors calling. Could, should, won't. Could, should, don't is called disaster. Now, how do you change all that? The next 6 years, I got rich. The next 6 years, I became a millionaire. By the time I'm 31, I'm a millionaire. How about that? You say, well, Mr. Rohn, what happened? Well, strangely enough, during that second 6 years of my economic life, the government was about the same. I'm telling you, taxes were about the same. My negative relatives were the same. I'm telling you, the economy was about the same, and prices were about the same, and everything else was about the same. Circumstances were about the same. Then how come I got rich? How come I totally changed my life? I was not the same. Somebody says, well, what did you go to work on to do all that? I started with my philosophy. I started amending my errors by doing some better thinking, changing my mind, coming up with ideas that I didn't have before I met my teacher. And once that whole process started for me, I'm telling you, I changed my whole life. Within a 6-year period, I was never the same. And I've kept up that process all these years. One of the reasons why I'm here is to continue my craft. I don't want the day to come someday somebody says, you should have heard Jim Rohn 10 years ago when he was really terrific. Guess what I want people to say? I heard him 10 years ago, but you should hear him now. I'm telling you, the man works on his craft. I'm telling you, the man's done some extra reading. I'm telling you, the man doesn't miss a trick. I'm telling you, he's worked hard on himself. That's why he's able to deliver like he does. The same thing can happen for you as a teenager. It can happen to you as a mother, as a father, as a business person, as a salesperson, running a business. Doesn't matter. Management, wherever you find yourself. This is the process called personal change. And what I say to start with is start with your own philosophy. Your philosophy is going to determine whether or not you go for the disciplines or continue the errors that's called potential disaster. And everybody has it within their power. Well, it was so happy for me to find out at age 25, Mr. Shope said, Mr. Rohn, you don't have to change countries. But you do have to change philosophy. And if you'll change philosophy, not country, you can turn around your income, you can turn around your bank account, you can turn around your skills, you can become capable, powerful, sophisticated, healthy, influential, all the other equities that you could possibly want out of your life, using the only stuff there is and not trying to change any of this stuff. Appreciate all of this stuff with all of its ups and downs, with all of its mystery of why it works and sometimes it doesn't work. Don't challenge this. You don't have to ask for another planet. You don't have to ask for another country. Just ask for another book. Ask for another seminar. Ask for another idea. And you can start this whole process of personal life change. Now, I could spend the whole day on philosophy, because that's where it is. If I could get you intrigued with that enough to study it, enough to ponder it, to where you would pick up the commitment like I did and say, hey, as simple as an apple a day, as simple as a walk around the block, why not start right there? If you don't start there, where else are you going to start? Might as well start where it's easy, and then go to the more complicated disciplines. Because if you can't handle the simple disciplines, how can you handle the complicated ones? Okay.
I love how Jim Rohn explains that change can happen at any moment in our lives. All we must do is first make the decision to change. One of Jim Rohn's famous quotes is, "In order for life to change, you must change." Throughout the rest of this video, we'll be looking at steps we can take to implement positive change into our lives in a way that allows us to move closer to living our dreams. Step one is making the decision to change. And this might seem obvious, but changing in life is easier said than done. In fact, it may be one of the hardest things that we'll ever do in our lives. For many of us, change can seem like a daunting task. This leads to us pushing it out, procrastinating, and even never ending up reaching our full potential because we never implement the proper change in our lives. Sometimes we can even fall into pits of depression, low energy, and procrastination because we cease to implement the proper change. It's common that during the most challenging times of our lives is when we need the most change. The problem is that changing during these times in our lives isn't always the easiest task, especially because the world seems like it's up against us. Step two to implementing change is leaning into discomfort. If you want to learn how to change your life completely, you're gonna have to get used to the fact that you have to say bye to your old mentality and adopt new ways of living. The very essence of growth is to move beyond where we've ever been before. It is said that life will only change when you become more committed to your dreams than you are committed to your comfort zone. If we're truly seeking change in our lives, it's important to take the step and look into different experiences and try different things so that we can know what can fit into the new normal for us. Once we've come to terms with leaving our comfort zone in order to pursue new experiences in our life, then we need to figure out what exactly we want to change in our lives. Do we want to pursue a new career? Do we want to write that book that we've been thinking about on the back burner for ages? It's important to write down and explore every idea that comes to mind when you think about a future version of yourself. Once we start venturing out and exploring new ideas of what our future life can look like, it's common that we fall victim to the voice in our head that says this is unrealistic, and it's going to push back against your new ideas because it's against the norm. I urge you guys to put that voice at bay while you're going through this process and explore all possibilities. Ask yourself, if you had no limits to what you could do, what would you want to be doing for the rest of your life? Once we explore and we are set on these new ideas of change that we want to see, then it comes down to breaking your goals down into smaller steps and beginning the process to build the habits and the daily disciplines that build into a fulfilling life. If we want to ensure our ultimate success, it's important that we set SMART goals. S-M-A-R-T. S is for specific. Define your goal clearly. M is for measurable. Set a finish line so you know when you've achieved your goal. A is for achievable. Make sure your goal is realistic within the set time. time period. R is for relevant. Set a goal that will help you change your life in the way you want most. T is for time bound. Set a deadline to motivate yourself to achieve your goal. The next step is to prepare for the storms. Going through new change in your life is one of the hardest things that you'll ever experience. Your body and mind is not going to be used to the new normal that you're trying to set for yourself. It's important that we build our new changes into habits and rituals that we can lean on days that we feel low energy and we feel like we're not moving forward. Also remember that the biggest breakthroughs in life often come right before we were about to give up. It's a tragedy when somebody gives up just before they were about to have their major breakthrough. Push through the storms and make it out the other side. You have nothing to lose by expecting the best and moving forward. It's also important to get your friends and family on board with your change. You're gonna face immediate pushback from your friends and family if you make abrupt changes in your life. A lot of the time when we're working on becoming the best versions of ourselves and pushing the status quo, it makes others around us uncomfortable because we're acting in a different way than what they're used to. It's important to communicate to your friends and family around you what you're trying to achieve and allow them to give you space to grow. During this part of the journey, you will also find who is truly behind you and has your back and who doesn't. Sadly, you may come to the conclusion that some people even have to exit your life. Realize that immediate change is a short-term risk for a long-term reward. Keep pushing through, believe in yourself, and there's nothing that can stop you. This concludes our time for today. Thank you for stopping by. If you enjoyed this content, please subscribe. It helps us spread the message, and I'll see you guys in the next one.